And this is shuttle launch control at T-minus 3 hours and holding. And we have our first look of our commander, Michael Baker, as he is being suited up for his fourth flight into space today. Crew members are being assisted with their launch and entry suits by suit technicians. Pilot Brent Jett, of course, giving thumbs up. He's ready to make his second flight into space. He last flew as a pilot aboard STS 72. Jerry Linenger is going to be going into space, this on his second trip, but it will certainly be his longest. He'll be staying on the Mir space station for about 4 months until Atlantis goes back to pick him up in the spring of this year. Mission specialist Jeff Weissoff preparing for his third flight. Jeff last flew on missions STS 57 and 68. Mission specialist John Grunsfeld making his second flight into space today. John became an astronaut in 1992 and flew for 17 days on a mission STS 67, the longest space shuttle mission to date at that time. That record has since been broken. And the last member of the crew is mission specialist Marcia Ivins. Have about 30 seconds remaining in our hold before we pick up the count at T-minus 3 hours. Again, everything continues to go according to plan. Operations at the pad with the shuttle Atlantis are proceeding smoothly, and the astronauts are preparing to leave their crew quarters on time in just a few minutes. And we're at T-minus 3 hours and counting. At T-minus 3 hours and counting, this is shuttle launch control. And we're seeing pictures of the crew as they're walking down the hall on the third floor of the operations and checkout building, getting into the elevator. Astronaut Dave Leesma is joining them. He'll be overseeing the astronaut operations today. And outside the operations and checkout building, the crew is being led by Commander Michael Baker, pilot Brent Jett, mission specialist Jerry Linenger, John Grunsfeld, Jeff Weissoff, and Marcia Ivins. This view from the 195-foot level of the elevator opening. We expect the crew to be stepping out. And then to the top of the picture is the entry to the orbiter access arm. Now that the crew is at the pad, of course, engineers continuing their operations. They're verifying that the external tank is properly topped off to its proper levels. And they're verifying that the water spray system, which empties about 300,000 gallons of water onto the pad just seconds before liftoff, verifying that that water spray system is operational. And our first view of the White Room. Closeout crew members, of course, have been on station for the past 2.5 hours or so, making ready the orbiter and the White Room for the crew's arrival.
GLS 212.
You need to read your note there?
Yes, sir. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, very good. Set dual interrupt notification will be activated momentarily and may cause re-enunciation of error messages at system consoles for interrupt monitor parameters currently out of GLS.
And Marsha's in her seat. JSC suit technician from the United Space Alliance, or USA, Max Candler, will assist her for the next several minutes as she gets strapped in. Meanwhile, back in the White Room, our pilot, Brent Jett, is going to be the next to enter the vehicle, and he'll be taking his seat next to Commander Mike Baker. And the orbiter access arm is now being retracted away from the vehicle. This is the walkway used by the crew to gain entry into and out of the vehicle, and it can be returned to position within seconds if need be. As the access arm continues to be retracted, we're at T-minus 7 minutes and counting. And the 3 main engines are being gimbaled as a final test before launch. The orbiter test conductor has requested that pilot Brent Jett clear the caution and warning memory system. Everything looks good and we're cleared for launch today. No problems are being reported from the vehicle or the crew.
So DC caution warning is clear and no unexpected damage. Okay, flight crew, close the launch device, initiate O2, and on behalf of the launch team, have a great mission. Downward, thanks.
GLS is go for ET, LH2 pressurization.
T-minus 1 minute, 45 seconds and counting.
One minute, 30 seconds.
And all systems are go. Spatial Atlantis is about 90 seconds from beginning its 10-day mission to dock with the Mir space station. T-minus 1 minute, 15 seconds. T-minus 1 minute and counting. Everything is still looking good for launch of the Shuttle Atlantis from Kennedy Space Center in Florida. T-minus 50 seconds, and we're transferring to orbiter internal power at this time. The Atlantis is now running off of its 3 onboard fuel cells. Coming up on a go for auto sequence start. And we have a go for auto sequence start. Atlantis' onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions. T-minus 20 seconds. T-minus 15. 12. T-minus 10. 9. 8. We have a go for main engine start. We have main engines up and running. 3, 2, 1. Booster ignition and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Atlantis on a 10-day mission to dock with Russia's orbiting outpost.
Houston now controlling the flight of Atlantis.
Atlantis, welcome.
Roger, roll, Atlantis.
Atlantis into the roll to place the shuttle in a heads-down, wings-level position for the 8.5-minute ride to orbit. Seconds into the flight, Atlantis' 3 liquid fuel main engines now throttling back in a 3-step fashion to 67% of rated performance. That will dampen the stress on the shuttle's aero surfaces as it breaks through the sound barrier. One minute into the flight, the main engine's now beginning to rev up to full throttle, 104% of rated performance. The throttle up call coming up from spacecraft communicator Kevin Kriegel here in Mission Control.
Atlantis, go at throttle up.
Roger, go at throttle up.
1 minute, 20 seconds into the flight, Atlantis traveling at 1,500 miles per hour. Now 10 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center, 13 miles in altitude. The shuttle's 3 main engines, 3 auxiliary power units, 3 power-producing fuel cells, all functioning normally. One minute, 50 seconds into the flight, standing by for solid rocket booster shutdown and jettison. That command to come from the onboard computers through the master events controller on board Atlantis. Booster officer confirms a clean solid rocket booster separation. Guidance now converging on Atlantis' 3 main engines as they begin to steer for a precise keyhole in space for main engine cutoff.
Nominal.
Roger, performance nominal.
Atlantis, 2-engine Maroon.
Engine Maroon.
Those calls from spacecraft communicator Kevin Kriegel to Commander Mike Baker aboard Atlantis indicating that the solid rocket boosters provided the desired performance during the first stage of this morning's ascent to orbit. And if one main engine should fail, Atlantis has enough inertia to make a transoceanic abort to Morón, Spain. However, all 3 main engines continue to function by the book 3 minutes into the flight.
Marcia, you have a go for the CWC number 2. It's silver bias side only, no samples as listed in the timeline. And any bubbles you see, let us know.
Okay, I'm just looking at this big boy here, and it looks like it's all water in there, so I think we're doing okay. Do you want me to cut the laces on the next bag also?
Marcia, no need to respond. We're with you there in the middeck. Yes, we'd like you to cut the laces on the second one and see if you see any bubbles.
You're probably the only one who can get out from behind there. I think you can get out over the top.
Top's easy, yeah.
Let me make sure I can get out over the top. Yeah, I can get out, all right. Fit checks.
You see the DC cables?
I see a DC cable on the bottom.
We need them to come through your side.
Coming through where?
There should be 2 DC cables.
One, oh, there's the second one. All right, and where do they need to be?
They need just to come out on your side so that we can then route them over the top of the frame.
Right here.
Okay, that's good.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, down.
Okay, down.
Okay. I sort of got it back here.
This is just going to be screwed on here, right? Or so.
Hi, Chris.
John, looks like the foot switch is working well.
Like a charm for a simian like me. Space Habit Atlantis for Biorack. Isozyme 9 green pistons on my mark. 3, 2, 1, mark.
We copy.
Писал на компьютер, воспроизвожу с магнитофона с пятаком.
Понял. Не скажи.
Это у нас были операторы, так сказать, плохие. И я бы...
3 feet, 0.08.
3 feet, point 1.
Dropping to 0.07. You're good. You're good, Biggs. 0.09.
Это уже...
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Capture line.
Yes, Sanya.
Capture.
Yes, that's
OZ, free drift.
I've got a flashing ring aligned on and off, John, rocks.
Okay, I've got ring align on.
Ring aligned.
Okay, they've settled 50-50-50.
PCT's off, flight control power.
Damping is on.
Counting to the minute.
Flight control power's off.
No, we gotta wait until damping's off.
No, I'm counting to the minute for the power.
Okay, that's fine.
we have capture.
Nice job, Bakes.
All right, beautiful, Big.
Let's switch over to the...
Okay, what's that, Jerry?
Lannis Houston, if you keep keying that mic, we love the sound.
One more time, Chris.
Yeah, if we could request someone to push and hold the battery power speaker mic button so we can hear what's going on also.
All right. All right, I'm trying to catch up to Jeff. Looks like we made it to the node. And I'm sending lots of cables at this time. And left, right, up and down, I see modules, and they all look great. I'm trying to look all around. Jeff is turning into base block where I see the U.S. flag flying. And looks like they really prepared things for us. See Valeri up ahead. Hake's already made it in. And I think John Blaha is bringing up the rear so that everyone doesn't navigate and make a wrong turn early on here. Маша, разрешите мне от имени нашего экипажа. Спасибо. Спасибо. Лимоны, гриб. Это Джон любит. Это Джон любит.
Relax. Excellent.
Спасибо, Майкл.
Thank you.
Майкл.
Thank you, Michael.
Ребят.
Thank you, folks.
Да.
Air Atlantis Houston, we're in the process of enabling air-to-ground 2 to Moscow. That should be accomplished here in a few minutes.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
We're crossing an international boundary. We're on the U.S. side now. And now we're on the Russian Mir space station in their orbiter right. I'll switch orientations to make you more comfortable. Jeff is currently holding a water bag. We're filling lots of these water bags for the Mir crew members. From the orbiter docking system, we'll be moving into the Crystal module. All of these air ducts you see provide fresh air throughout the modules. This is one of the hatches and used also as a docking system for the Russians. It's similar to the one that we used when we docked. I feel like I'm exploring a cave. We're in the Crystal module now. Equipment stored on all sides. Doing another orientation change. Floor becomes the ceiling the floor. On the right is the greenhouse experiment. John Blaha has been growing wheat in there, as did Shannon Lucid. We're coming up to the central node, the hub of the Mir space station. And this is where navigation gets particularly tricky. I think our first stop will be in the base block. The base block is sort of the center of operations, or the family room of Mir. Okay, and now we're following John. And he's going to go into the central node, and if he can find it, he's going to head over to Perota. Yes, if I can find it. He's looking a little confused, but I think he'll eventually sort it out. Where is it? The newest one. Okay, here we are entering Perota. And I'll help with the orientation by turning around. Okay, and in here is the module where we brought all of our transfer items. You can see them stacked up underneath John. Lots of bags. In the foreground here, you can see a piece of the gyrodyne, big, large globe-like structure that we transferred over. See also a glove box here in the foreground. Now John's making his way back further into the module. Ah, the nuclear rag. And he's found one of the radioactive samples that we transferred for an experiment. He's looking anxious to get away from the radioactive sample that he was sitting on. So But he's going to go floating past us here. Valeri, say hello to.
Hey, hello.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's good.
Then we come to base block.
Oh, okay. Are we returning to the base block?
Yeah, we'll go back to the base block.
Okay. Now we're going to return to the base block.
John, finish his exercise.
Sasha's here. Sasha's inside the base block. Now we're turning around. Thank you. And now John's looking at the radio.
Yep, radio.
Publication.
And this time we'll turn right once we enter the shuttle, and we'll head down to the hatch. So we're heading towards the back of Space Shuttle Atlantis' payload bay. Into the cavernous space ham. We have Mike Baker and Marsha Ivans working on stowage. All of our stowage racks. This is the bio rack where Jeff and I have been working. Our workspace. This is the Leslie refrigerator freezer. Our computers. All of our samples. And our cold stowage. Cameras. There's the photo box.
Just about have all of our TILUS recommendations together.
Out the window.
We'll ask you to bring down Vegas Node here in about 12 minutes. What we'd like to do is
See the Mir space station.
video conference at about 2300 or about 25 minutes from now. We should have all our ducks in a row by then. And Vegas should be just coming off his exercise period. просто хочу сказать, я очень рад жить на станции Мир. И до свидания, мой экипаж STS 81. Goodbye to STS 81 and glad to be living on Station Mir.
Спасибо большое. До новых встреч на Земле и на орбите.
See you guys. Hey, great to live here. Thank you. Man. Hold on.
Houston, Atlantis.
Go ahead.
I'll call you later.
You want to take like one picture so when the good ones come out, you can claim that one was yours?
Yeah. I took that picture.
I remember clicking it. It's on the credit card.
Atlantis Houston, Moscow reports Mir is in attitude.
Roger. They reported to us also. Thank you.
Again, this view from long-range tracking cameras at the Kennedy Space Center.
Atlantis Houston, on energy approaching the hack. Weather looks really good down here in Florida. Winds are 1505, peak to 8. And you go for a nominal shoot deploy.
Roger, copy that.
A morning wake-up call for the residents of Central Florida as Commander Mike Baker takes over manual control of the flying of Atlantis. He is initiating an overhead turn of 190 degrees around the heading alignment cylinder to align Atlantis with runway 33.
Atlantis on at the 180.
Halfway around the heading alignment circle, everything looking good for Atlantis as the morning sun gleams off of its belly. Commander Mike Baker should see the runway in sight.
Runway's in sight, Houston.
Copy, runway in sight.
Mike Baker preparing to flare up Atlantis' nose. Brent Jett, the pilot, now deploying the landing gear. Landing gear down and locked. Main gear touchdown. Jett now deploying the drag chute. Baker rotating the nose gear down to the deck. Nose gear touchdown. Atlantis now rolling out on runway 33 at the Kennedy Space Center to wrap up its mission, bringing astronaut John Blaha home after 4 months in orbit on the Russian space station Mir.
Wheel stop.
Copy, wheel stop Atlantis. Welcome back after a super mission. Fabulous way to start the year 1997. You guys are making the international mission seem easy, and a special welcome back to John after his 4 months on Mir.
Roger, thank you very much.